doing? My name is Jabo. For those who are coming across my channel, my content, my page for the first time, my name is Jabo. And initially, I am a very expressive person, so I've always been very expressive, um, even on my pages. But within the last, hmm, now I can't even remember. But for the last about 7 years, 7 to 8 years now, um, I started using my page in a more deliberate way in terms of my pages, in terms of the organization that God put on my heart to start, Come Alive movement. And initially, it was um, to help with sensitization and recovery from child sexual abuse. Um, why? Because I went through that. At 9, I was sexually abused, and I experienced um, the long-term effects of child sexual abuse, and it took me more than, I need to calculate exactly, but it took me over 15 years to begin, first to find somewhere where I could get help and to recover from the effects of child sexual abuse. Um, but then now, even when I found somewhere, it took another maybe 5 years or so. I need to make those calculations properly to now say, okay, I am healed. Healing is never fully completed. We continue on the journey of healing, but um, to say that I am making progress, active progress where I can see that there's changes in my life, there's changes in how I think about myself, how I see myself, the choices I make for myself. Yeah, so that was the initial purpose of Come Alive. But I got into a very emotionally abusive marriage. And so after getting out of that for 5 years, married for 7, but together for 5, I realized that this is also another huge, huge area that I felt I needed to get into this space and just help people who were going through what I went through and probably even worse. And so in the last about 2 years, that's been the focus of Come Alive movement. That's been the drive of Come Alive movement. And I've been sharing my story for those of you who've been following, those who are new, who are just seeing this for the first time. If you could kindly follow my pages, you'll find my story there. I've been sharing my story, and in me sharing my story, I got to a place where I felt overwhelmed because of the response. But I felt like, okay, so now what? So many people are responding, but what next? Is it just for, okay, yes, we're in the same category, but how do we really help each other? And so God put on my heart to start these conferences where we will actually meet in person and help each other, and really help each other walk this journey and get to the other side. The theme of these conferences is the power of the mind. Why the power of the mind? Because in whatever situation we are, our minds are cardinal in taking us to where we want to be. No matter what situation we're in, we have to keep our minds stable. We have to keep our minds deliberately on what we want to see, not what we're seeing or what's going on. And so these conferences will basically be delving into how we can do that. And we'll have different demographic groups. Part of my conference is for women, single women, single men, um, single parents, divorced people, um, married people, um, pre-married people who are, wanting to get married but want to know how to prepare for marriage, children, young girls, young boys. We'll have Power of the Mind conferences for all demographics. But there's another part to all this. The other side of all this is that Come Alive movement has a mandate. And that mandate is to sensitize, hugely sensitize the public about child sexual abuse, the long-term effects, and marital emotional abuse, the long-term effects, um, what it is, what it looks like, how we can avoid it for those who are not yet in marriage. Um, that's a huge mandate of Come Alive movement, to sensitize, because these are things that people, I remember sharing on my YouTube page about, uh, how I was sexually abused, and this person said, well, you don't look like there's anything wrong with you, so I guess you're fine, so I don't know why you keep talking about it. Something like that, paraphrased. That broke my heart so much. But also, it highlighted how that there's still so much work to be done to um, get people to understand the long-term effects of child sexual abuse. The fact that it happens, and um, the fact that, because there's a side to child sexual abuse that um, there's a place where people almost even think that it's normal, some sets of people, because, it's just children playing, children touching each other, if it involves two children. No, they're just playing, they're just touching each other. Child sexual abuse breaks a child at the core, because that is something, sex or anything sexual is not meant to happen at that age. That's not how God created us. And so you are opening a door in a child's mind that should not be open, and that just messes up the child. It messes up their ability to think right, to make right decisions. It messes up with how they think of themselves. The child begins to think, maybe there's just something wrong with me. I am bad. I am just bad. But that's because sexuality was opened up when it wasn't supposed to be. And then there's marital emotional abuse. And I will say, from my experience and from what people have studied, actually studied, and I've read through, because of the high levels of child sexual abuse, there are high levels of marital emotional abuse. Um, Physical abuse is easy to see. You can see this is wrong, this is not okay. But emotional abuse is not so easy to point out. And so people, because of how unvaluable they think they are, they will take being treated horribly, being spoken to horribly, not being given their emotional needs, because they think they don't deserve it. And so marital emotional abuse is so rampant because of the state of people's minds when they get into these relationships. And so there's a lot of work in terms of sensitization that needs to be done in this area. And these are the two mandates that Come Alive movement has. So that's in terms of sensitization. But there's also a component of acting on, putting action into what we're saying, actually helping people. And so in October, I went into the field the whole of October. Well, yeah, I was in the field, um, 3 different districts, 3 different provinces, and we're basically and basically what I got from my time in the field is on the ground. So initially, our second mandate, so our first mandate is sensitization. The second mandate is to um, set up safe houses or um, recreational centers, recreational skills training centers around Zambia, different provinces, different districts. Um, and so we went into this district, in some of these districts in October. And oh my word, the my heart was breaking, really. 10-year-olds, as young as 9, 10-year-olds, um, are out at night drinking and just having sex out in the open. And when we spoke to these children, they basically said, I will paraphrase, but this is basically what was going on. They have no direction. You know, their parents don't discipline them. They don't have the zeal for school. They don't have mentors. And so our mandate now is to go into those districts and set up these recreational centers where we will begin to mentor these children and help them find purpose, find direction, help them to um, direct their energies in the right things. That's a huge mandate. And so these are the 2 areas that we will need your help. How do you help? How do you help? Purchase a ticket for the launch. The monies that we will get from the launch of the conference will all go to these 2 mandates that we have as Come Alive movement. Sensitization and going into the field and setting up these recreational centers, these centers where we'll have people to motivate these children and help direct their lives. 100% of the proceeds will go to these 2 areas: sensitization and setting up of um, these centers in different provinces. So that's an area that's a way that you can help us. Buy a ticket, or 2, or 3, or 4, as many as the Lord leads you to. And so I call upon even my international family, those who are not in Zambia, in different countries. I am so, so grateful that so many of you have responded this far to what God has been putting on my heart. You've been reaching out, you've been speaking, you've been commenting. Um, please continue with us and share in this mandate. Buy a ticket. You might not be able to come and attend, but you can be part of this work by buying a ticket, or 2, or 3, or 10, and help us achieve this mandate. We will definitely be accountable to you. We'll give you updates every so often, and we will show our audited reports. We will share our audited reports with you. But do come on this journey with us, um, and let's change the world together. A small bit of the world, but let's do our part together. So for my local family, those in Zambia, the ticket, each ticket is 300 kwacha. And for my international family, each ticket is $25, 25 US dollars. Do come on board and let's do this together. Thank you.